everybody, it's Coulter, and today I'm doing some 3D modeling. This is my first video, so it's gonna sound kind of cringe, but anyways, here we go. As you can see, I'm using Tinkercad, and as you're gonna see, I'm gonna put down this red square. Now, I'm building a stadium. Why would I put down this red square? Well, I'm just gonna shrink it down and fiddle around with what size I want to make it. I'm gonna change it to green. One thing you'll notice in a lot of my 3D modeling projects is the fact that really all it is just combining a bunch of random shapes. Anyways, I am making a stadium, so really I'm just making the field here. You'll now notice that I'm adding some more color to this. Now, most people aka us non-Americans, will ask, hey, why are you putting color at the very ends of the field? I don't get this. Well, I'm an American, and in America we use these fields for American football. So not the football that you guys call soccer anywhere else in the world but here. So I'm just making end zones here. And yes, this is an American football field, which you will see again in a second. Once again, back to the point of me being an American, simply based on the fact that these are not rugby field goals, which you will be able to see here in a second once I get these sizes figured out. I'll also point out that I'm doing a voiceover to this, and so this is just all post commentary, so I'm just watching this video while talking to you right now, because I'm too lazy to actually speak in real time, and I figure it would get really boring, especially because I make a lot of mistakes while doing this. I'm adding this whole piece right here because when you combine whole and solid pieces, wherever the hole is, it will cut out a piece of the original thing. And as you can see, I'm messing up really bad. And cut. As you can see, I made a mistake there, so I need to go ahead and fix that. I also apologize if you hear any background audio to this. My little brother's recording something right now or something, I don't know. Hopefully you can. Hopefully it's just being overpowered by the BGM. And I know I'm giving credit in the comments, but I have to thank ALYXIA for allowing me to use her BGM, or for allowing me to use music from her EP as my BGM. I really love it. Not to mention ALYXIA makes a lot of great remixes as well. Technically I am able to just rotate that, but with how fiddly it is with smaller objects, it's just easier for me to just insert the degree I want to rotate it. As you can see, I'm just making some field goals here. What I'm going to eventually do is I'm going to be getting that and putting another one on the opposite side. It's a lot easier to just duplicate stuff than make it from scratch over and over again. Some people might call me lazy, others will say, as well, for me, I'm just trying to get content out. Also, ignore that take medicine notification up there. Really, that's just a reminder for me to take ADHD medication, but apparently I have it set to the wrong time. That goes away in a second after I eventually notice it. Also, another thing that I don't notice is the fact that I actually have that lined up wrong. It'll come back to bite me in a little bit, and you'll see exactly where it's messed up. You might even be able to see it right now. As you can see here, I'm selecting a lot of shapes just to combine them. I'm combining them because it's a lot easier to simply add stuff there and then duplicate it, so I can just put it on the other side. At least it would be easier if I didn't mess up. That's really bad, I'll probably edit that out. Just kidding, no I'm not, because we're furious. As you can see, I clearly made a mistake because of my limited angles. Now I have to ungroup it and readjust it. Doesn't actually take too much of my time, but it is kind of annoying. Especially since I have to do the same thing on the other one that I duplicated it from. Incidentally, it ended up actually changing the shape, but I kind of liked it more, so I kept it. There's no real mistakes. Really, there's just things that you want to fix. Trying to align stuff is really difficult at times, especially since I always tend to change my mind. If you're hearing any random singing in the background once again, that's my little brother. I promise you he's not in the same room as I am, but it is what it is. It's fun to use Tinkercad, but the camera's really weird at times because it's kind of just conformed on almost like a little ring around the 3D space. And it can move very slowly at times, as you'll see right here. Believe me, that's me scrolling with everything I can, but it's weird to move at times. Hooray, we have a field. I didn't add yard lines to this because I'm too lazy to, and also I just really wanted to get a video out because I have nothing to do after spending about 3 hours doing timestamps. Though of course if you want me to 3D model anything, I'm willing to at least give it a try. Just leave it in the comments below. Also leave a comment on what you think or if you have any advice for how I could improve it. Anyways, now it's time to actually make the stadium. As you can see, I'm making a wall here. Why am I putting a wall here? Well, I'm putting the wall here as a barrier between the players on the field and the people in the stands. Obviously, I'm not going to model the people in the field because you can probably tell by the length of this video that that isn't actually going to happen. Once again, I have to create the edges, so I'm doing the same trick of making a hole. These pieces are technically called tubes, but I like to call them donuts. I'm sure Charles Barkley likes them being called donuts too. It may not make much sense why I'm actually English. It may not make much sense why I'm actually aligning that so carefully, but really it's just to make sure I can get a clean 90-degree curve. Any misstep could result in the piece being thrown way off. As you can see, I'm being very careful just so I get the clean 90 degrees. I'm sure any geometry teacher is going to say, oh, you're doing this way wrong, you need to be more specific. Well, I say that I'm just a random guy making videos on YouTube. I really don't care. Unfortunately, this creates a little bit of a problem that I soon run into. As you see, as I'm trying to line this up, I noticed that this green piece, wow, I'm gonna have to edit that out. This green piece does not actually work the way it's supposed to. It doesn't create a uniform curve. Now I like the curve aspect of it better, which is why I decided to keep it, so I had to kind of get creative and change my plans. What I ended up having to do, as you can see here, is expand the sides. This is just so I can get a uniform connection and so it doesn't look weird. Fixing a problem on one side with pieces like this doesn't mean you fix it on the other side, which I run into in about 2 seconds right here. Now that I look at it again, I realize I probably could have also made an ice hockey rink out of this. And there's the issue I was talking about. Because of the way I rotated it, the side that wasn't expanded ended up over there, if that makes any sense. So what I end up having to do is I'm gonna end up eventually going back and reshaping the other side eventually. Of course, I'm more focused on getting other stuff done. I promise you it will get fixed to anyone who has OCD. And if you have OCD, I apologize. I apologize for how infuriating I have to be making you right now. That's when I finally noticed that I had the notification up there, and I am actually just using a screen recording from QuickTime Player. So yeah, clearly high production stuff that we got going on here. Marvel would be jealous of everything that I'm using. As you may notice, I have copied from the side that I didn't actually fix. So once again, we have expansion joint issues. But it's nothing that a little editing can't fix. What I eventually do is I just turn these all red. For anyone wondering why I chose red, well, red's my favorite color, and I also like the song. This is also where I realized that because of the shapes not being uniform, it causes this little conundrum. Obviously I fix it, but it's still annoying because I forgot to make some very simple adjustments. Anyways, now we have a field. Hooray! In the meantime, I was thinking about possibly making this the first stands, but I decided against it. So yes, I have metal bleachers. Where is this stadium? Probably not in Canada where it's ice cold because this is not a dome stadium. To be fair, I live in Oklahoma. So I probably could just make it just here in Oklahoma, but I'm not going to call it Gaylor Family or Boone Pickens. Then again, if Boone Pickens had any red, then they'd all be frustrated. Of course, now they say that, I'm probably going to get a bunch of Bedlam haters in the chat. Or comment section, not chat. You see me messing with the pieces a little bit here. That's more so just me being frustrated because I don't think it's perfectly connected. So what I end up trying to do is I change the distance. Now every single time I move a block, it's 0.5 meters instead of just 1 meter. Of course, I'm just using the term meter loosely, but just consider each one of those squares on the very bottom of my work plane as 1 meter. I'm still just trying to figure out if there's any gap, and it's really bothering me, but I decided just screw it at this point. I just had a thought that made me laugh. This looks like one of those model stadiums where you have the little kids just running around playing football or whatever. And of course, this is where I'm going to get a bunch of people from Europe saying, this is not real football. Well, I'm an American and I call it soccer, but I am a goalkeeper in soccer, so I do respect the fact that you call it football. But this is an American football stadium, not a football stadium, if that makes any sense. I also am literally just now realizing that I actually made the stadium very close to the actual field, or not the stadium, the bleachers to the actual field. I probably have made a mistake, so I need to employ a lot of security guards to prevent fans throwing bottles at the refs. And yes, that actually happens in American football. I've seen it way too many times. Also, once again, it's time for my favorite part, cutting. These cuts are going to be slightly different since I need to make the outside just bigger. I decided to try something new here and actually just do both cuts at the same time. And it actually works. Unfortunately, there's no way to actually just make that a shape as a whole. But I could probably, but it's not, but I would, I can't speak. But it is a lot more convenient. Once again, expansion joint issues are the same thing, because once again, those rings do not fit perfectly to my squares. That doesn't make any sense. Basically the sides aren't uniform. You guys know what I mean. I decided to try and cut out the problem that I knew I would have eventually by simply just expanding one side ahead of time. I don't remember if it works or not, but we'll find out in about 3 seconds probably. Also, I see that it's clipping into the field, and yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Somebody could probably go out of bounds there, if this was a video game. I noticed here that I think I may have made one end a little bit too big. Also, you may have noticed that there were some random shapes that popped up there for a moment. Whenever you duplicate an item, what Tinkercad typically does is it just has AI recreate exactly what you did in a very quick time. You may see that again and again whenever I'm doing stuff that has holes. Don't worry about it, it's not a glitch, and it's not me editing stuff out. I also have no idea why this just popped into my mind, but this almost looks like someone put a football field right in the middle of whatever California Speedway is called. Fontana, I think it is. I don't know, I'm not a NASCAR fan. I used to be though. Time to connect everything and have our first row of stands. You may notice that took a while, so you may be wondering, how in the world am I actually going to finish things up before my video time runs out? Well, first off, I'm gonna have some clipping issues there, but you're not gonna notice that because I said you're not going to. Deal with it, I'm the video maker. Actually, what we're gonna do is first we're gonna make everything into one shape, and then we're just gonna duplicate everything over and over again. You'll see what I mean. I don't know if it's just me, but I think my camera might be a little tilted. There's a weird issue with them whenever I'm doing stuff with Tinkercad. Here I'm just holding a different set of keyboard buttons to start expanding it from within the center. Basically, the center gets treated. Basically, the center stays the exact same while everything else expands. Now, as you can see, I duplicated stuff and it went out immediately. Tinkercad does this thing that I just call a continuation duplicating system. How does it work? Well, you'll see right here how quickly this thing works. But basically what it's doing is it's just doing the same thing that I did on the last piece over and over again. it causes this to happen. As you can see, I have now built the inverted pyramid from Super Mario Odyssey. I mean a football stadium. I understand that it's not being held up by stuff, and people are probably going to riot, mainly structural engineers. But this is a 3D model, meaning it will not fall down. Here I decided to kind of mess around with the color and make a nice little, and give the stadium a nice little brick facade. Why a brick facade? Well, I like it. Of course, it actually won't look like actual bricks because I can't just insert random lines on there. Lines are 2D. We're working with 3D here, folks. What I'm trying to do here is make sure that everything's properly aligned. Of course, I think my alignment's actually way off in the end. But what I ended up also deciding to do is make some gates. Making these gates is simple. It's just basically putting a hole in the wall. As you can see, my hole doesn't go all the way through, so I had to adjust it. Now that it does, we're all good to go. It also for whatever weird reason, moving the camera around when everything is perfectly aligned causes some very weird static looking effects. I apologize in advance. And boom, we now have some entrance gates. Gotta get into the stadium somehow. To those with OCD who are probably complaining, oh, the gates aren't all equal distances apart or from each side, I apologize, but at the same time, I'm also way too lazy to actually care. Sorry. I didn't want the gates on the other side, so what I decided to do is make back walls without gates. In order to do this, I had to copy the color, which is very easy to do. It's basically like Microsoft Paint if I'm not mistaken. Though I wouldn't know since I'm literally just recording this on an Apple laptop. It may not look the same right now, but that's because there's a weird blue highlighting around it. I promise you once the highlighting goes away, it's the same color. Also, there's the camera tilt I was talking about, so I just readjust my camera. Someone's probably gonna get disturbed by the holes up there. That sounded wrong. Someone's probably gonna get disturbed by the holes at each corner. But honestly, this is literally like playing with Lego pieces. And as much as I love the Lego company, those instruction booklets are weird at times. I also apologize if my voice sounds really weird. I've been told I have a very monotone voice before, and I can't exactly deny it. Of course, I can make my voice do this at times, and I can also make my voice do this. But I understand that my voice can be annoying for some people, so I apologize. That's why I'm not doing live commentary where I'd be tempted to just do everything while talking, and instead I've provided you with some nice chill background tunes. Thanks, ALYXIA. For those wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm just making a little jumbotron. Every single college football stadium that I've ever been to has a jumbotron, so figured I'd make one. Here I'm just trying to align everything because whenever you're 3D modeling stuff, there is always a little bit of OCD to it. Of course, I won't actually be putting anything on this jumbotron, it's just going to be a blank screen for now. Some also might call it an oversized television on which they watch their favorite YouTube streams. And there we go, this is our stadium. I could probably do way better than this, and I've actually made an actual basketball arena before. But this is really good, aside from that quick little adjustment. We ran over budget, darn it. Either way, this is probably a good place to stop. So, thanks for watching, guys. If there's anything you would like me to try and model, just leave it in the comments below. And I'll leave you guys with a nice little fan's eye view from inside the stadium. At least as good as we're gonna get.